Hi, I'm Brittany Harrison, broker associate with Shorewood Real Estate SoCo, and this week's Neighborhood Spotlight takes us to a community whose history and diversity remain ever present, and their repurposed buildings, restaurants, and artistic venues. Join me on a journey back in time to get to know the Ivywild neighborhood.
Located in the southwest of Colorado Springs, Ivywild is one of the city's oldest working-class neighborhoods. It's situated along Cheyenne Creek and runs north from Cheyenne Boulevard to Highway 24 and is nestled between 8th Street and Nevada Avenue.
Long before the arrival of Europeans to this region, the Cheyenne tribe used to roam these lands, setting up their teepees at the confluence of Fountain Creek and Cheyenne Creek. Then in about 1859, Irving Hobart settled along Cheyenne Creek with his family. John Wolfe followed in the following year.
But Ivywild was not formally platted until 1888 by William B. Jenkins, a rancher and miner who created 43 lots when he subdivided his land. His wife Anne is credited with naming the town.
And it was right here in 1902 when Winfield Scott Stratton and Thomas F. Burns purchased a 10-acre lot from Jenkins that was situated right along what is now Cheyenne Mountain Boulevard.
They turned it into a baseball park called Boulevard Park, home of Colorado's first professional baseball team, the Colorado Springs Millionaires.
In 1904, Charles Maddox bought Boulevard Park after the Millionaires dissolved and started building homes here using wood recycled from Nikola Tesla's laboratory. Homes like this one behind me with this great gingerbread detail are examples of this technique. By 1916, Ivywild Pharmacy and Ivywild Grocer and Market were doing business. Over 100 years later, Ivywild Pharmacy continues to serve the Colorado Springs public. The Ivywild neighborhood is home to some of my favorite places here in Colorado Springs. Prime 25 Restaurant, the Millionaires Art Theater, Stratton Open Space, and the Burrowing Owl. But there are two really unique places that have found a way to keep the history of this neighborhood alive, and that's Ivywild School and the Edelweiss restaurant.
Ivywild School was built in 1916, but closed its doors as an educational institution in 2009.
4 years later, the former elementary school was transformed into a multi-use commercial and community center now called the Ivywild School. The Ivywild School features community gathering places like in the former auditorium, as well as a brewery, coffee shop, distillery, bakery, and delicatessen. By restoring this neighborhood's historic centerpiece, the Ivywild School has cemented itself as one of the major attractions that draws people to this area.
Originally a two-room schoolhouse designed by architect Thomas McLaren, what we currently know as Edelweiss was erected in 1901 as the schoolhouse for the Ivywild neighborhood. It was used until 1915 when overcrowded classrooms led to the erection of Ivywild School.
The original school building was moved here to Ramona Street, where it was initially used as a residence. Then in 1967, the building was remodeled and became the Edelweiss restaurant that we know today. It's the perfect place to enjoy good beer, great authentic German fare, and unparalleled baked goods. Did you know that the Ivywild neighborhood is very unique linguistically? More than 2.5% of its residents, ages 5 and older, speak either German or Yiddish as their primary language in the home. That may not seem like much, but that's more than 98% of neighborhoods in America. So what's the real estate like here in Ivywild? The median home price is around $360,000, and the residential real estate landscape is a blend of single-family homes and apartments with owners and renters. Many of these residences are very well established. After that initial boom of building in the 1900s, there was a subsequent boom in the 1940s and again in the 1970s. This created a lot of architectural variety, but that variety really adds to the eclectic nature of this neighborhood. Thanks for joining me on a journey back in time to get to know one of the neighborhoods that makes Colorado Springs such a special place to live. I hope that you'll look out on Thursday for my Ivywild Neighborhood Business Spotlight, featuring the environmentally minded vegan hotspot, the Burrowing Owl. Until then, I'm Brittany Harrison, broker associate with Shorewood Real Estate SoCo, wishing you the very best on your adventures to fall in love with where you live.